This is Mark Carrington from mybitcoinprofits.com with a weekly review on the Bitcoin prices. Picture in front is last week's review, which was done on March the 8th. It says reversal versus rebound, are the trades uncorrelated? Well, let's just have a look and see where we are. It's taken me longer than a week to get back to talking to you, and that's because there's not been a lot happening. So we have in front of you the chart for it's Bitcoin against the US dollar. It's a daily chart, and this is the chart I left off with last time. So we talked on the 8th of March, which is this column here where the hand is. That's about where this arrow starts. And we were looking for breaking out of the triangles that's been forming, either up above it, a retest, or to break down below and to retest. And as we can see, what's happened in the week is that price has basically just gone sideways, although it is progressively producing a higher low each time, which would seem to indicate that there's a resistance level around that horizontal line that the price does not want to move past, this line here, but also that the sellers are being overpowered a little bit each day, so there's more resistance underneath as well. So given my trading philosophy is I'm not in the least bit interested in trading this. What I have done on the chart since last week is I've drawn in a Fibonacci line or a Fibonacci retracement, and given that we've got a series of lower highs, I've chosen to draw a Fibonacci from this high to this low here. If I'll just draw it in there so we can see it happening live. So I'm going to pull the Fibonacci retracement from this high, which was the last high on this series of down cycles, through this low here. And this horizontal line, which has come off a weekly drawn some time ago, coincides with the 0.618 Fibonacci retracement, which experience tells us that typically when you get this level of resistance on a Fibonacci line like that, what typically happens is that this is a strong resistance point and the price is going to do this. However, if price does break through the 618, it's then going to test the 786 here, which happens to coincide with the downtrend line. Now, given that there are traders who will pursue trading, with the right price action in this area, they would pursue trading this one short, given the stop loss would only be here, trade entry will be here somewhere, and there is a reasonable distance before reaching this uptrend resistance line, assuming of course you ignore this uptrend resistance line. But from my trading perspective, I am not in the least interested in trading this until I'm getting a clear break here or a clear break here. Now, this has been an interesting period of time since the European Central Bank meetings last week. We've had the Federal Reserve meeting, we've had the Bank of Japan talking this week, and the movement of the Bitcoin against the US dollar, this flatline move like this is actually quite surprising given what else is being going on. Let's just have a look at a few other markets on that same sort of time frame. So we've looked at this is the euro against the US dollar, and we're looking at the 8th of March, and we've got a clear movement upwards. So the US dollar has weakened principally because the Federal Reserve said instead of doing 4 rate increases this year, they're only likely to do 2. So the market is saying, well, we don't think US interest rates are going to go up, so we're going to move away from the US dollar. And at the same time, the European Central Bank continued to print money and making European equities more attractive. Let's have a look at a few of the other situations and see if they're any different. This is the US dollar against the yen, and it was doing its sideways thing. The Bank of Japan made its announcements, Janet Yellen and the Federal Reserve made their announcements, and the US dollar weakened against the yen. Remember, this is quoted US dollar against yen, so when this chart is going down, it means the US dollar is weakening. And if we'll just step across and have a look at one more, the US dollar against the Swiss franc, and we'll see exactly the same thing. Is a significant weakening in the US dollar. Now I'm going to just look at one or two other market opportunities just to see what's actually been happening. This is not a unique situation. Here we have a fund that tracks agricultural produce, base metals, energy. Basically, we're seeing the same thing in all of these charts. So this US dollar weakness and rising prices for a series of commodities against the US dollar. So what we're seeing in the Bitcoin is really something quite different. Is that it's going sideways while the US dollar is weakening, which tells me that this is much more to do with the supply and demand for Bitcoin than it has to do with matters relating to the US dollar. So the trade opportunities for me in the last week have been against the US dollar, on commodities in particular, agriculture, minerals, and which is where my trades have been, and I've stayed away from Bitcoin and just waiting for this breakout. So that's the review for this week. Happy Bitcoining and trade well.